Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday Moments with Fran and guests today. I hope you're doing well. I'm really delighted to have Michael Earle joining us today to share an encouragement. So Michael, if you'd like to introduce yourself and share a little bit about what you do.
Right, thank you very much, Fran. A pleasure to be here. Good morning, everybody. My name is Michael Earle. I'm a wellbeing consultant, but my background very quickly is social care. So I used to be a social worker for about 12, 13 years with my local authority here in Bristol. But what happened very quickly is that I was beginning to see that the workload was becoming very, very stressful. So it was childcare, frontline social work, child protection, that sort of stuff. And a lot of pressure. The caseload at that time was around about sort of 25 to 32 cases per social worker. So yeah, it was a lot. And it got to the point where it was starting to affect my own personal well-being.
Sure.
Yeah, a lot of pressure from managers and stuff. I had to make a decision. And that decision was because I needed to make sure I was looking after myself. So I had to sort of reconsider everything. My wife was also noticing that I wasn't very happy, wasn't quite myself. And I made the quite big decision at the age of 50 to resign from my social work career because I was actually valuing my own well-being, my health. I had to put that first.
Sure.
But I didn't just jump into it. I did pray about it. We did some maths and calculations, and we worked out that I could do something else whilst building my well-being career. But that was the catalyst. It was like work was starting to sort of infiltrate my life and well-being, and I wasn't feeling balanced at all. And so I had to make that decision. So I retrained as a well-being champion, consultant, working with lots of different people as well, getting lots of training and coaching, and now in a position where I can actually turn around and help people, individuals, organizations, with making well-being a priority in their lives and in their organization and setup as well. So that's what I love doing now. So that's my passion, basically, in a nutshell.
And you can tell, I think, by the way you speak about it, that you're very passionate. And I always find it interesting, the reasons why people have quite a significant career change and why they take a different path. And it's often very rarely about finances or just trying to get a bigger title or whatever. It's actually about well-being, and it is, like you said, around just having a different lifestyle that is more aligned with your values, and that's going to make you healthier holistically.
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely.
So we met through business networking a few years back, and when we've connected on Facebook, one of the things that I've seen you speak a lot around, and I feel like has become your tagline and your theme, is always take your lunch break. And I'm sure I've even quoted you on one of my videos, it's probably last year, and it was just, I think it's really interesting. So please, can you share with us why that is so important?
Absolutely, Fran. Now, there's a statistic that I picked up a little while ago. I think it was last year, that only I think it's 70% of the UK workforce don't actually take a lunch break, which is it's quite frightening. So what people are basically doing is working through the whole day, not taking a lunch break. But there's research to show that not taking a lunch break isn't actually good for you, not personally, but performance-wise. Because your productivity level actually dips. So you become less productive by not taking a break. The other thing is as well that you are legally entitled to take a lunch break. If you work 6 hours or more, you are legally entitled to take a 30 or 45-minute break away from your workstation or work area. But what I was finding is that a lot of people some people said to me they were afraid to take a lunch break. And I went, you got to explain that to me. And they said, well, you don't want to look to be weak, or they follow the culture of the organization. But it's absolutely crazy. And how the actual thing about taking a lunch break came about was when I started my social work career. I came from a telephone networking company, and we always had lunch breaks. It was like built in. So I brought that culture with me to my social work arena. And I was told that, in social work, everyone works really hard and we don't take lunch breaks. And I said, okay, we'll see about that. So I remember my first week fully employed as a team member, and 1 o'clock came, which was my automatic built-in time to take lunch. Usually, if nothing else is there, I will take lunch at 1 o'clock. So I got up to sign myself out to go to lunch, and members of the team looked at me, and then my manager said to me, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I'm going to take my lunch break." They said, oh, we don't take lunch breaks here. I didn't know if she was joking or serious, but I said, well, I'm going to take mine and I'll be back at 2 o'clock. And I went out and signed myself out and came back afterwards. So that's how, that the culture I've had. And then whilst I was doing my social work career, somebody from one of the organizations I was working with knew that I was into wellbeing. It was something I've always been interested in. And they asked me to do a program for their staff. So I decided to call the program Always Take Your Lunch Break. And so it was actually born there.
Sure.
And I just kept it. And as you said, now I started doing my wellbeing. It's been like a tagline because it's something that I do, I believe in. And I think it's a very simple thing to do, but it's also a very simple thing not to do. And so that's why I use it as a tagline, but it's also like a little mini message as well. And I'm trying to get people to think in that mindset of, well, look, I at least deserve to give myself a break at work. And it's part of the self-care thing, as you said, it's the beginning of self-care. So it's a very simple, almost not really, something to think about, but it's very, very powerful. So that's how it was born. And I keep sort of like using that as a theme in everything that I do, basically, to remind people that they need to look after themselves. And that's one of the most simplest things you can do.
Absolutely. And I think that was so poignant when you said it's very simple to do, but it's also very simple not to do.
Yeah.
And, culture is huge, isn't it, in how we change our behavior, what we do and what we don't do. And again, particularly the perception of others. And I think what's primary is that people do understand that they are important and that if they don't take care of themselves, they will not even be well enough to work or to be with their families or to do the other things that they're really called to do. And self-care is key. It's mind-blowing actually how I feel like in this society we now almost have to reteach some of what should be basics. It should be, like you said, it's built into law. And so it's not just a nice idea. It's not just, oh yeah, we'll have a break. Actually, there are clinical, psychological, and even societal reasons around why we take a break.
Absolutely, Fran. And as you touched on, it's about looking after ourselves because, as you know, I'm sure you've heard the phrase, you can't pour from an empty cup. So if you're constantly giving out, you might be the most lovely, successful, productive worker in your workplace, fabulous. But if you're continually giving up, there's going to come a point where you are going to be drained, if you're not looking after yourself. Having a lunch break, eating as well as you can, a little bit of daily exercise. And again, as you reiterated, they're all very simple things, but if we don't put them in place as part of our daily routines, they won't happen. It's just as simple as that. If we don't take the action, they will not happen. It's not automatic. It's not waving a magic wand. We do have to put the work in. And I'm sure you have, your daily routines, things that you do, and I have mine as well. And I'm working on myself to make sure that I get most of that self-care stuff done at the beginning of the day. And what I call it pouring into myself. So I sort of fill myself up before I actually start my working day.
Sure.
Reading, praying, whatever your routine may be. But it's actually pouring stuff into you, because if you don't do that, you're not going to be productive, personally or externally. And that's something that I'm really working on at the moment. It's just like making sure that I'm at a point where I can give, because otherwise I'm not going to be very effective.
Sure. And you've done some coaching as well. And so, and for myself as a coach, I definitely believe in the necessity to schedule things in so that we can start building, creating habits, because as human beings, we don't like to change our behavior. When we get into a routine, we normally stick at it. And so if somebody, maybe you're watching the video and you've not been taking a break for the last 10 years, it might be a bit of a journey to get to the point where you are regularly doing it. But like Michael said, it's important to schedule it in and to almost have that time of your day. Well, actually, this is what you do. And it's a non-negotiable that at 1 o'clock or whatever time's right for you, I take a break.
Fran, you just touched on one of my words, non-negotiable. I don't believe that. This isn't planned. This is not as scripted.
Of course not.
But no, seriously, because my why, and I've taken a few years to craft it, and basically, as you know, I have my why, so it helps me decide what I do and don't get involved in. And basically, my why has evolved into helping people to help themselves live a better life by making their well-being a non-negotiable priority. And that, so when you said non-negotiable, I went, wow, you're reading my mind. But that's it. But that's it. I tell people, they say, well, why do you keep going on about it? Because I said, but it's non-negotiable. I said, basically, I say to people, you know, sometimes you have to be direct with people. And I say, look, if I'm coaching somebody, I say, look, can I be direct with you? So I introduce the fact that I'm going to sort of give a really hard fact, or I'll say, look, if you have a family and you're looking after that family and you are the sole provider and you become sick, what do you think is going to happen? And then there's this massive pause. And then there's this silence. And I let it sit there. And I just think, you need to think about that, you know, because it's serious. And then, you know, and then there's this silence. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I say, well, I'm not right. It's just a fact. If you are sick and you have dependents, then you know, their source of help and everything is gone. So, you know, it's not a selfish act. It really is about thinking about your family, those around you, that you care for yourself first. And it's like when you go on the plane, when we used to go on planes, not at the moment, you know, you get
Oh,
the air
I
steward.
do traveling, I have to say.
I know.
But we'll get back there.
Yes, hopefully, pray to God we will. But you know, when you're in the plane, you're sitting down, and then the attendants come out, and they do the safety thing, and they always say, and it's the bit that sticks with me, when the masks drop down, fit your mask first before you help someone else. And there you go, you got it again. So everywhere you go, the message is there, but you know, we sometimes choose to see things that we want to, and the other stuff we just, you know, bypass. But I really believe that we have to make sure that we take care of ourselves, and especially in this time at the moment that we are going through. You know, I think a lot of people are saying, yeah, I really need to take a little extra care of myself. So yeah, please, you know,
Yeah.
put yourself first. And it's not a selfish act to put yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Self-care is not selfish. It's probably one of the best things you can do for yourself and other people. So
Yes.
that's fantastic. And so what would you leave somebody with today, just as a final word of encouragement to really set them through the week?
Right. Basically, what I would say, Fran, is that try and find a little bit of time for yourself. It may not be a lunch break, but even if it's just 5 minutes to sit down and just to have a bit of space to think about things. Because what we are doing now, we just seem to be going faster and faster. We want things done quicker. We've got Amazon Prime, you know, you order it one day and it turns up on your door the next day. And so it's this expectation that, you know, we've got to have things done quickly, quickly. What I would say to people is, try and take just 5 minutes out of the day just to do nothing, just to sit down and just to be still and to think about yourself, and maybe to think about ways that you can be kind to yourself. So yeah, just take five today. Try and find some time to just take 5.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because for some people, like we said, that jump could be too big to start with if they've not been doing it. But taking 5 is absolutely doable for everybody watching. So, guys, be encouraged. You know, value yourself. Self-care is not selfish. And as
Yeah.
Michael's theme is, and his why actually is, you know, always take your lunch break and make your wellness and your well-being a non-negotiable. So have a great week. Don't forget to encourage somebody else. Maybe share this video with them, or send them the link, and take good care of yourselves. See you next week.
Yeah. Take care. Bye.
Thanks once again, Michael.
Awesome. No, that was fantastic.